3, 4. Boil Dem Cabbage Down at 60 beats per minute. For this song, I'm using the forward roll. The last 3 songs in the series, we worked on Mountain Dew, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and Long Journey Home, using the square roll primarily as our fundamental roll from which we plucked out the melody notes on the 3rd and 4th strings. The melody notes for Boil Dem Cabbage are up here on the 2nd string. Boil dem cabbage down, bake them cakes round. 3rd string, 2nd fret. Only song that I can sing is boil dem cabbage down. So the entire melody for Boil Dem Cabbage can be found on the 2nd and 3rd strings. The best way to capture those melody notes is going to be with a forward roll. Now, you may have noticed I played through the break twice. The second time I did something slightly different from the first time. I'll get to that later. When you're playing a break, if you can do it, it's a good idea to keep the 8th notes ringing. As I mentioned in the last video, a flurry of 8th notes. So the melody starts on the 2nd string, and we're just going to play a 2-1-5, 2-1-5, 2-1 roll for this. And at the end of that first measure, we're going to go to the 2nd melody note, which is the 2nd string 1st fret C note. However, you also have to go to a C chord, so you're going to place your ring finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and get that partial C that we've talked about before. The 3rd measure is the same as the 1st measure. Now the 4th measure demands that you go to the 3rd string for the melody note, 3rd string, 2nd fret. What we're going to do is just play that single note on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and we're going to change up our picking hand pattern to go to a 3-1-5, 3-1-5, 3-1, which was what we started with way back in the beginning with the easiest roll. It'll sound like this. So here's the whole first line of the song, which is essentially half the song. You start with the 2nd string, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 2nd line, I'm saying the 2nd line because I'm looking at the strum machine. The 5th measure is going to be the G again, starting with your 2nd string. The C again, starting with your 2nd string. Now we have the turnaround. We've talked about this before, where the turnaround has a half measure of G, half measure of D, and then you finish off with a measure of G. Boil dem cabbage down. It's an open 2nd string, which is a B. It's a 2nd fret 3rd string, which is an A. Cabbage, and down is 3rd string open G. Down. The first 3 notes of the measure are going to be our 2-1-5 forward roll. The 4th note is going to be that 3rd string 2nd fret. Even though the melody really doesn't come till 1/8 note beat later, we're going to get a jump on it and play it 1/8 note beat ahead of time, which at first it might not sound right at a slower speed, but when you speed it up, it has a really cool syncopated sound. So we're going to play 2-1-5, then put your middle finger down on the 3rd string 2nd fret and play 3-1-5, 3-1 again with the finger down, then release the finger for the last measure and play 3-1-5 down here. Here's the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a pretty straight ahead break as far as using the forward roll goes, and that's good news because it shouldn't take too long to put these all together and come up with a good break for that song. A variation that I used the second time through, if you go back at the beginning of the video you can see this, is I made a slight variation on the last note. Instead of playing 2-1-5, 2-1-5, 2-1, I played 2-1-5, 2-1-5, 2-5, like this. Now technically that has thrown us off of the forward roll. What I did there was to play 2-1-5, 2-1-5, 2-5, which breaks up the forward roll. And that happens all the time in banjo playing. I mentioned last video that we're going to start these transitions where you play maybe a full square roll or part of a square roll, and suddenly you have to switch a finger and get into another roll. And that's what intermediate advanced banjo break playing is all about. So let's try this again, substituting just the thumb on the 5th string for the last note of every group of 8. It's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our start on transitioning from using a particular roll and transitioning into another roll. Next video I'm going to get into some actual patterns where I might have you play like a square roll into a forward roll, something like this. And more like that. This will prepare you for the songs that are coming up that are going to use a combination of different rolls. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Well, I fell in love with a girl from the town. I thought that she would be true.